Welcome, everyone. Happy that you're able to join us today. We have Mary Fain Brandt joining us from Phoenix, Arizona, I believe. And so, for those of you have to appreciate this, it's 10 o'clock in the morning there, 1 o'clock here. So I appreciate her getting up this morning. And we were actually chatting before the call started about what we're going to chat about. And that's what's really great about these calls, because a lot of times when we plan ahead, the conversation is going to be different anyway. So we may schedule this before. So I think it's so important to have a relevant topic. And Mary Fain, I'd love to hear some of your initial thoughts. Because you're a fellow LinkedIn trainer and working with job seekers and the like. So I'd love to get some senses from you right off the bat.
Well, I was telling you before the show, and thank you for having me.
Sure.
And hello to everyone who's joining us. I just want to say this is awesome to be here and be sharing tips and trends and thoughts of the trade as for our career professionals and LinkedIn, new features and tips. So we were talking before the show. I had an amazing guest on our Monday LinkedIn audio event. And I always learn something new from Kyle, or he just kind of makes me think about something again. And we were talking about getting clear in what you want to do. And let's start with the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in 2020, everything stopped and then it shifted, right? People went home to work, people lost their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in hindsight, some great things came out of the pandemic. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of bad that happened.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not trying to underplay any of that, but we saw a rise in work from home, remote opportunities that no one could have predicted would have happened so fast. I think they would have happened about 5 years from now, but it forced employers to think outside the box, and it worked. But fast forward, and they wanted people to come back to work. And whether it was back to an office or back to a job that maybe had shut down, like hospitality, restaurants, right? And I think what happened is a lot of people pulled back and really thought about their lives, really thought about what was important to them. Was this a great job for me? And so I want to really talk about that today, but I want to throw some statistics out to everyone. And this one is probably really going to make you think. So here you go. Did you know that the average adult will work approximately 96,000 hours in their lifetime? Crazy, right? 96,000 hours in your lifetime. When I learned about this stat years ago, literally I was like, are you kidding me? So that should make you think about the work that you're doing right now.
I think
That equals huh?
I was going to say, one of the challenges I've come across is most people don't really even know what they want to do.
Right.
And that's such a big part of it. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, interrupt as much as you want. It's your show. So I just want people to think about, wow, if I'm going to do something for about 96,000 hours in my life, I better like it and enjoy it and get something out of it besides a paycheck. And we're going to talk about money in just a little bit. But 96,000 hours is around 20% of your lifetime. It's only second to sleep. And I got to tell you, I don't get 8 hours sleep a day or a night. So, it's probably 25% of my life working. So can you imagine working that many hours and not getting the respect you deserve, not being fulfilled in the work that you do, not using your God-given talents? So my own truth is I did not use my God-given talents in all my corporate jobs. So here's a short story. When I was in school, and this is going to date me and age me, we had chalkboards, these big green boards that you had chalk. And I had to write, I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class, because I talked a lot. I had a lot to say and I wanted to learn things. So now I laugh and I tell my family, because they used to say, Mary Liz, don't interrupt. Mary Liz, don't talk, right? So now I laugh and I say, I get paid to talk. I talk to clients and I coach them. So the story, right, is that I wasn't using one of my God-given talents, which is to cultivate relationships, which is to coach people, to have meaningful conversations. So I want everyone to stop and really think, what was it in your childhood that you were good at? Maybe it's organizing. Maybe you were that kid on the block that organized the playroom all the time. Maybe you made sure nothing ever ran out in your house. So think about something. It's just something to think about, do a little exercise. And I think one of the biggest things that I want to talk about is getting clear, knowing what you want and what you don't want. So,
So
as you said, Kenneth, most people don't know what they really want.
I'd love to see what some of the people have to say in terms of, some of their skills and what they resonate with. I know I see Phil Davis here, one of my fellow LinkedIn job search buddies, and Marcelo too. I mean, I would like to know, like when I was growing up, I was so much into numbers. I loved to keep
Mm.
track of things. I was very organized, and I had to do one thing after the other. And I think that helped me out a lot when I was in job search and working with people because I was very focused. The downside of that was I'm a little I have to do everything in a certain way. It's almost
Oh,
like
okay.
um, AC, like compulsive disorder at times, which you work on. But I think it's so important to know that about yourself, what your strengths and your abilities are.
Yeah, I think that I was also an organized kid. So I also grew up in the days of color, crayons, Crayola
Right.
crayons. And you had like the 8 set, the 64 set, and then the jumbo set that had the metallics. And I
Hmm.
was the kid on the block because we used to go to other kids' houses and color. Like that was a thing we did in my day. And I would bring my own crayons because they were in color order, no rip paper, and
Hmm.
and nobody could use them. They were all sharpened and perfect. And other kids on the block would have the coffee can with the crayons that
Yep.
were ripped and broken. And I was like, oh no. So I'm that organized freak also.
Hmm.
And I share that because that also helped me with my career as an executive assistant, right? I was herding cats and managing calendars, and everything has to be color coded, my folders, my Google Calendar. So from my childhood, right, if we kind of examine,
Hmm.
what was I good at as a kid? What do I enjoy doing? I still love organizing and color coding. Like that's something from my childhood that has served me well in my corporate life and as a business owner. As you know, you have to be super organized, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
No, no, I was just saying, I think one of the challenges that I see, and this is just a comment here, this person doesn't have a career path or profession, um, different things. And when you talk about doing different things and you enjoy a lot of them, I think to some extent you want to take the best of everything. I remember when I started out in working, I was a writer and I loved writing. I
Mm.
loved writing. I was a reporter. I thought it was really great. But then I had to pay the bills. It was time to get married. So I did something which I absolutely despise doing in retrospect. And that was I was a developer, computer programmer, because I figured that's where all the
Oh.
money was. Little did I know I'd be miserable at it. So um, what I'm doing now, which is kind of a little bit of everything, organizing, speaking, writing, and able to speak the what people have to say. But um, it took me many years to grow up, and I think many of us don't always totally grow up. Brenda says I color organize my closet. I'm sure she meant to say
Hi,
closet.
Brenda.
Um, I have to share a story. I actually did one of our kitchen closets before the show with putting all the different Ziploc containers and things, and the in different sizes. So I had the tops on one shelf, the others on the bottom, so that it would be very easy to get them. That's just the way I am. I just want to know where everything is. I don't want to just throw something in a cabinet. So,
Oh,
um,
that would drive me batty. My whole house is organized. Linen
mhm,
closet, little baskets. Like I am super organized. And Brenda, my closet is also color coordinated. So, color order. So if I
mhm,
want a yellow shirt, I can find them.
yeah,
And then they're organized by sleeveless, short sleeve, long sleeve. So, we all have these weird things that we know or we do.
mhm,
But for our job seekers out there, you really need to be clear. And
mhm,
you need to do the work before you start a job search. Probably the biggest mistake I see. I don't know if you see this. People are like, oh, I'm ready to get a new job. I'm just going to start applying. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping
mhm.
that something will stick. Right?
Sure.
They just apply. Let's say they want to be a project manager. They apply to every job that's advertised that has the headline project manager. They don't look at the size of the company, the location, well, maybe the location, but they don't look at the size of the company or the type of the company, and they don't learn anything about the company prior to applying. That's just wasting your time. You really need to understand what type of organization is a good fit. What kind of project manager do you want to be? I mean, you can work in all kinds of industries. Which one is one that lights you up, makes you happy? Because, like you said, you took a job where you thought the money was, right?
Yeah.
But you were miserable. And there's so much more to life than money. Money doesn't buy happiness. Yes, it pays the bills, it buys a boat, takes you on vacation, right? There's a need for it. But at the end of the day, I think finding meaningful work is more important. And I'd like to share a quick client story. We'll call her Casey. We had a consultation call in 2018. When I told her my price, she's like, "Oh, that's out of my budget." I was like, "Okay." So 8 months later, I get this email where you could just feel the emotion in the email. It was like, "Mary, I took a job. I'm miserable. I should have hired you. Do you think you could take me on as a client?" Like, literally, you could feel the emotion. And I was like, "Sure, let's do another consultation call," because it's been a little while. And we worked together. She got super clear. She's a program manager. And so we got super clear on what kind of industry and what she was looking for, what was important. But we also created the red flag list, which is what she didn't want. Right. So travel and all these different things. And I'm happy to say that she went on an interview, and after the interview, she called me. She's like, "Okay, I heard your voice in my head, and my red flag list was going through because they were saying things, right, that weren't in line with what she wanted." And so she declined. So it gave her the power to say no. And then she got 2 more offers within 2 weeks. And she said yes. And she got a pay increase, a title. We've worked together 3 or 4 times over the last 4 or 5 years. And she now knows what she wants. And her confidence level has gone from a 2 to an 8. And her salary, she's gotten a 53% increase in her salary.
I think it's so important also to talk to people in the field and find out a little bit about what the job is like, not just what's on the job spec, but the day to day things that are there. So I have to do this call out. Sue Burkhardt Brooks. My first job in newspapers was at a place called The Shopper, which was a weekly newspaper in northern New Jersey. And I got to do everything, and I loved it. And Sue and we just reconnected after, I almost hate to say this, but has it been 40 years already? Oh my God. I loved that job. I was there for 5.5 years. I didn't get paid a lot of money, and I was living at home, but I loved everything about it. And, in retrospect, I learned so much about writing and so much about listening to people that I still use that today. And I think for those that are not sure what they want to do, like you mentioned, the list, what are the things you like to do and don't like to do? If you're going to be a project manager, there's a lot of stuff that's involved that's not fun. And it's not necessarily portrayed in the job spec.
Yeah, I agree. People need to do their research, right? I always say target. So if, let's say you've decided, you want to pivot into project management, or maybe you want to maybe you're in IT, but now you want a different level in IT. You need to do your research and then target 3 to 5 companies. It's not about throwing your resume and applying to 50 companies. That doesn't work anymore. It used to work, right? We used to say it was a numbers game, but that doesn't work anymore. You need to be more strategic. And I think that is where job seekers make the mistake early on.
So Alex has a question, which I definitely think is a good question. How can someone predict up front the job they're looking for is going to be meaningful?
Research. Talk to people that work there, know what makes you happy, know what your skills and talents are. So I think understanding yourself first, doing the research on the company and other employees that work there. And then, let's be realistic. None of us can guarantee anything. Look at 2020.
Right.
I mean, CEOs and VPs come and go in companies. If there's a high turnover rate at a company, that should be a red flag to you. right?
I
So
also think when you're interviewing someone, and I think Alex is an interview coach, he would agree. One of the things you want to ask the person that's hiring you is, why did you pick this company out? What do you like about this company? Let them kind of sell the company that way. Let them share things instead of, yeah, I'm working at the company for a paycheck. What is it?
yeah, ask open-ended questions.
Yes,
And if they're not willing to share information with you, that should be a red flag.
definitely.
Ah, so much stuff. Well, hey, can we talk about one of the newer LinkedIn features for career
Absolutely.
professionals?
Absolutely.
Um, Sorry, I have allergies really bad, so
That's
my
okay.
eyes are
This is a bad allergy time for me too, with all the mugginess and stuff. So that's why I'm drinking the water and things, because I have a scratchy throat.
yeah, my eyes are like itching. So one of the newer features on LinkedIn. So if you're a career professional and you haven't spent any real time on LinkedIn, like snazzing up your profile,
Mhm.
adding connections, seeing what's going on, you definitely need to go back and look at your experience section, because now LinkedIn, when you go to add skills, you can attach it to the position that you were at when you use those skills. So that can really create a more robust profile. I was just working on a client's profile. She's a real estate agent and a mobile notary. And so I was attaching different skills for her different businesses that she has. And that just really helps. Have you been telling your clients to use that as well?
I have, and I have to ask you a question, which there's no one right or wrong answer to, but we all debate this a lot. How do you feel about someone who's looking for a job having the open to work frame,
Um,
viewable to either
I
everyone or recruiters or that?
So open to work, the green frame,
The
right? Isn't
green
that
frame, yeah.
green? So my opinion is not to use it. I don't think
Hmm.
it adds any value.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion. I'm like, I just don't feel that it adds value. You're like, hey, I need help. I need work. I just feel like it's the wrong billboard. There's so many other ways that
Hmm.
you can use LinkedIn to let people know. Do some posts. Be open to recruiter. Like open to work is different than the open to work frame.
Right. I think also people don't put in their about section that they're looking for a job, because a lot of them
Tell the
actually,
world.
well, here's my position. I'm there. It's either I haven't left it or something. If I don't know that you're open to work, I'm not saying do it like in a bold-faced title or heading. How am I going to be able to figure that out? I think you have to
Yeah.
make it as easy as possible at times.
Well, you can add the open to work like services.
Right,
And
right,
I
right.
think that that works well, but I don't like the frame. So that's my honest opinion.
So Brenda's question, does having the different jobs listed under each one help with the SEO search requirements to link skills to their experience?
Okay,
In,
wait.
in other words, you can add the 5 skills to each job. Does
Right.
populating them multiple times, do you know if it
Well,
helps with the SEO?
I believe that it would, because LinkedIn is SEO worthy, right? So if someone's looking for corporate real estate agent, right? And you have that listed in your about section, it's the headline on that job, and then you
Hmm.
attach that skill, that's going to 3 times, that's going to show up more. So the more words that you have, like let's say I have career coach 10 times throughout my profile,
Hmm.
and let's say you have it twice. So I believe that that offsets it, where my profile might rank over along with a
Right.
custom URL, content. There's a lot of other
Right.
things that go into play, but I believe it helps it. It
I
definitely
would also
helps.
say make sure that when you look at a job, a lot of times they list the top 10 skills there.
Yes.
Don't assume that people know that you can do it just because you can, because you're going to make that assumption. But if they're listing top 10 skills and they want to do a search and they're going to look for someone that meets 7 or 8 or 9 of them, and you don't have it there, you're not going to get any further no matter how good you are.
It absolutely, absolutely. There's so much that you can do on LinkedIn with your profile, with content and engagement, to be top of mind and tip of tongue as a career professional and as a job seeker. You just have to put in the time
Hmm.
and be a little patient and be prepared. Like, the average, I don't know, the last stat that I heard, and you let me know if I'm wrong, but that it typically takes anywhere between 5 to 6 months to get a new position, to secure a new job. I've had people get one in a month,
Hmm.
right? It just depends on the type of job, and where, if you're already positioned. Like if you have to do all the foundational work, setting up the
Right.
profile, getting your resume, practicing interview, doing searches, that takes time to do. And then the interview process, they don't make decisions overnight. We both know that, right?
Right, right. And I think the other thing now also is that more and more people realize that every job is temporary. With all the
Yeah.
layoffs and everything now, so people should never stop networking, even if they have a job, because it's really hard to do it the first time you get that notice. And this is as bad as it's been for a while in terms of the idea of job search.
Yeah. And on Brenda's show, I said, network like your career depends on it, because it does. You should always be growing your network,
Hmm.
always be networking with people at companies that you might want to work at one day. You don't want to wait until, hey, I'm ready to go work at Apple. Let me start connecting with people that work at Apple. Let me start learning about that. You want to be ready. So
Hmm.
your profile, your resume, you need to stay on top of industry trends and tips, and you need to be networking throughout your career,
And you
not
want
just when you need it.
and you want to make it more. I mean, everyone wants to work for the same companies, whether it's the top four in accounting or a Google or Facebook or someone else. You want to focus on companies that might be a little bit under the radar, that you might have a better
Oh,
chance at.
absolutely. Those are big companies, and sure, they're prestigious, but that doesn't equal happiness. It just really doesn't equal the happiness or always the pay. So there are a lot of companies out there. So I just looked this statistic up today because I
Hmm.
wanted to share one of my tips for all of our job seekers out there. So on the last business day of June, the number of job openings reported by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is 10.7 million jobs on the market. So obviously, I don't have July, right? Because they haven't come up with those figures. But at the end of June, there were 10.7 million jobs on the market in the US. This doesn't represent the true number of job openings. So, what I want to share with everyone, there's something called the hidden job market.
Hmm.
And these are jobs that are not advertised. They're the hidden jobs, and they can vary, I've heard, anywhere between like 40 and 80%, because the corporations are not always advertising jobs. The solopreneurs, the small business owners, they're not advertising jobs. So I wanted to share 5 ways that
Sure.
you can tap into the hidden job market.
Sure.
Is that cool? Okay.
Yep.
Number one, something we just talked about, networking. Go to networking events, attending networking Zoom meetings, just having coffee meetings, networking and talking to people, and find out what's going on in their business, in their organization. Number two is join a professional association, right? There are chambers, there's speakers association, there's all kinds of professional associations that you can join, especially like industry specific,
Hmm.
like PR or marketing, um, career like SHRM and AMA. All these professional associations, join one of those. The third is something that I tend not to think about, is the alumni associations where
Hmm.
you went to college. You can tap into those. Number four, you might not think about this, volunteer. It's really about connecting with the right people and cultivating the relationships. So volunteering is not only great for your heart, great for your community, it can be great for your career.
Hmm.
And number five, LinkedIn, my favorite platform. Network and get connected on LinkedIn. So that is 5 areas. Let me get that up there. 5 areas where you can tap into the hidden job market for jobs that are not being advertised but are open.
I
What do you
think
have to add to that?
you bring up a good point. I would say, first of all, one of the mistakes that people make is they don't follow up. They don't follow up. They may do the one thing on LinkedIn. You have to always be engaged. What I happen to like recommending is, and this is going to date me a little bit, but when you go to events that your kids are either playing sports or doing things, reach out to the parents that are there, or ask your son or daughter or someone that's with you about them, and look them up on LinkedIn, because you will see them in a different light. You've built that relationship. One of my best connections now, I actually met when I was online grocery shopping, and it's a true story. we were just talking, and it was just two of us going shopping on a Sunday. And I just, I looked the person up and connected on LinkedIn, and 5 years later, 6 years later, we're really connected. You just don't know where it's going to happen.
The soccer coach, the dad that is the soccer coach, or the mom that's the soccer coach, and you're like, they're the coach, and then you go and look them up at LinkedIn, and they're the VP of Qualcomm.
Exactly.
They're the sales VP, or the operations, the COO, or the CIO. You don't know. So don't pursue that someone from another area of your life. Don't discount them. Get to know them. And even if they're not the VP or COO, what if they know that person? What if it's their wife or their husband or their uncle or their son? You just never know. My dad introduced me to someone who has a very successful business here in Arizona and over in Jersey. They're bi-coastal. And so I actually got to meet this person finally this year. And I'm having a phone call with someone on their team later this month about opportunities. So network.
So Mary, what LinkedIn feature do you feel is most overlooked by job seekers? Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
We know.
Gosh, there's so many. I like the new one. What feature? I don't like the open to work frame. I like the open to work under services or wherever that's at. Right. What feature as a job?
I happen to love when you go to the area where you can get you can ask the questions where the resume questions come up, and you can go to that area where you can get questions that, like, they answer questions from different experts there. I find that helpful, but I also think that one of the most overlooked features by job seekers is actually just to engage.
Okay, so it's not a feature, but that's where I was going to go.
Okay,
it's not a feature, but if you were to say, what's the one thing that a job seeker should do on LinkedIn, Mary, to get known and be found, I would say engage. I would say create your own friggin' content, right? Yeah. Can I say that? Create your own content. Yeah. Showcase your expertise. Show people that you're involved. You're a thought leader. You have a brain. You have your own ideas. Don't be like everyone else. Be yourself.
And brand yourself. I think one of the most interesting statistics, LinkedIn's becoming a little bit like Facebook. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because our lives are different now, especially after the pandemic. And we are, you can share certain things. What I found very interesting was LinkedIn posted a statistic as to the best times to post. And that's kind of, when do you think the worst time to post is on LinkedIn?
Midday. I think, honestly, it depends on your audience.
Okay. So let's say you're a job seeker.
And where you're at. So a job seeker, what's the worst time to post?
Based on LinkedIn statistics, which
I would still say midday. As a job seeker,
they said the worst time is to do it on a Friday afternoon.
Oh, well, Friday afternoon. Again, it depends. So who are you trying to get in front of? The VP that's on the golf course on Friday? Yeah, bad time. You have to know who are you trying to reach. I still prefer mornings because I have a longer time for engagement. Right. So I still prefer morning slots from everything I've seen, but I'll have some posts go viral. But you guys, it's really more, 5 people. If you get in front of 5 people every day, that's 25 people a week. So create some content twice a week and engage. More than anything, go look up people on LinkedIn. Go to your news feed. Pick 5 posts that you can comment on. And then search for the companies that you want to work for and see who's posting and start engaging.
So I am agreeing. You want to put something that you're open to work in the about section, but not just the words. What are you looking for your next adventure to be? You want to make sure you have all the skills there. You don't want it just to be like a paragraph, like a run-on paragraph, because it's as much about visibility as anything else. Recruiters are not going to read an about section necessarily. I mean, they're not going to
Right.
read
But
everything.
you want to put, and I love that you use the word adventure because
Yeah.
that's actually what I use. I'm like looking for my next career adventure in marketing where I can put my blah, blah, blah skills to work and level up your, right? Tell them, make it fun. I feel like when I started on LinkedIn, it was a very stuffy platform and it was very clunky, right? And we didn't share personal, and there was no personality,
Right.
and you didn't put personality in your about you or your content. Well, everything's shifted. So I want to see your personality. I want to see that you're a person.
Hmm.
I want you to be relatable on LinkedIn because at the end of the day, there's a person. The recruiter, right? It's not the profile looking at your profile, it's a person.
Definitely.
So make it more relatable. Throw something fun in there. Throw what you do. Hey, when I'm not crunching numbers and saving companies millions of dollars, you can find me kayaking and hiking Mount Everest. Whatever it is, add a little snippet of who you are and what you do outside of work. That makes you more human.
And I think the background image is another great way to do that. You know, a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
people don't
Background
put a
banner.
background image, whether you do it as word art or just something else. It's just, it may not be searchable, but it's another way to be
It
known.
pops.
Absolutely.
So just use Canva, put a quote. Like if you're a career professional, you're like, I have no idea what to do. Use Canva, put a quote that means something to you up there, you know,
Hmm.
and get something. Yes, that's one of the biggest mistakes is they have no background banner.
And they also don't do a cover story. It's a way for you to actually do a 30-second video. So if someone actually goes on your profile, they'll see. Now you can record it on your phone, but then it shows up everywhere. And I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
do
just
like that as well. That's a great tool for job seekers. It actually shows that you know the platform and you're going that extra mile to stand out. And
definitely
you guys go watch my everyone go watch my cover story. And
okay.
there's instructions in there.
Cool.
Oh,
Did
I
you
have a
have any
call to
other?
action.
Was there anything else you wanted to bring up? I mean, we can talk about. I mean, one of the things that's actually coming up right now, I have my list of things I want LinkedIn to do. I have my
Uh,
LinkedIn. My LinkedIn, please do this for me.
yes.
Please, please give me multiple inboxes. Please figure out a way to take care of
Well, they're working
spam.
on the inbox. You're going to have focused.
Right.
That's, I mean, that's a step in the right direction. As we were talking before the show, I want a video tab and an event tab right on my profile. So when someone says, Mary, where's your show? How do I find your 15 minutes of fame? I'll be like, just go to my event tab. Or Mary, where do I find all the replays? Oh, just go to my video tab. Like I would love those two things and co-host for the audio events. I
Yeah.
host the B show every
Hmm.
Monday. It's where we drink coffee and talk about career tips and trends. And I do that with my co-host Laura Bayshore, but there's no co-host feature. So in June, I had COVID and I was like, I can't do the show, right? I had no voice. But I had to get up and get my phone and hit, join and go live. And I had to sit there for an hour because there's not a co host function.
I wish that LinkedIn actually listened to us. And I mean that because communication is one of the biggest issues we all have with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But I did a post like that today, as much as anything else for engagement, to have people thinking. And I think a lot of times you don't want to overthink what you write about. You know, it's really
Yeah.
it's not rocket science to think about
Right
what
from
you're
your
going to
heart.
post.
Yeah, just right from your heart. Brenda does a great job of that. My girl Vivica Hess does a great job of that.
Yeah.
You do. Just right from your heart. Don't overthink it. Simplify it. Like if you've got a thought and you want to share that, I write everything in Google Drive. I'm
Hmm.
dyslexic. And so like I have to be careful with my words. Like they get mixed up. So I do write it in Google Drive for spelling and grammar check, but I'll just start like typing away. I actually have like 3 posts already started that are just like more heartfelt posts.
Hmm. I know I started, and this happens a lot. I'll start writing a post, and halfway through, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not a good idea. Let me think about something else. Because
Yeah,
I
that's
know
why
some
I do
people
it
do.
in Google Drive. Does this
Yeah.
make sense for me to post? And sometimes, if I'm being honest, I'll see a post and I'm like, oh, I really need to write. Like, I have some thoughts on that. But again, I might have a show or something. So I'll start it in Google Drive and I don't get back to it. And 2 weeks later, I'm like, well, that's irrelevant now. So, is your content relevant to what's going on in your life, in the world, on LinkedIn? You don't want to. you know.
No, and not every post is gonna resonate. I've had some posts and things I thought were really great, and they went nowhere. And my attitude is, okay, on to the next one. It's
It
not
doesn't mean that you failed on LinkedIn.
exactly
I have posts that do great, mediocre, and weird stuff goes viral, right? The post I did about Clubhouse, because I joined Clubhouse, but I joined some LinkedIn rooms. I was on a couple rooms or whatever
Mhm.
stages, but I never really got into it like I know you did and some other people. And I wrote this post, I think it was last year, like, is Clubhouse dead? And I did this whole thing and I tagged two people, I think, and I did a poll. So we got like 26,000 views, 200 comments, a ton of shit. Like it got like I
Right.
said, like it had nothing to do about my business or me. It was about Clubhouse. Is it dead? Should we keep using it? Do you
Right.
know what it is?
But and
You
that's the
just
thing.
never know.
No, and sometimes, honestly, there are days I don't feel like posting. So what I will do is I will just use the time to engage with other people.
Yeah. You don't have to post every day.
Yeah.
I don't believe you have to post every day on LinkedIn. I think, twice a week and engage,
Yeah.
every day. If I were to, if someone were to ask me, it's more important that you're engaging with people every day. You're connecting and cultivating those relationships so they can convert into an opportunity.
And you can't be afraid of taking the
Yes.
first step. It was so hard for me the first time I had a post. I was so afraid of what was going to happen. I thought my computer was going to blow up. I thought, no, I mean, I thought, oh my God, I can't take it back. What if someone calls me out on it? And you know what? Nothing happened. And it's the same way when
Yeah.
you connect with someone. If someone doesn't connect with you, okay, so what?
Yeah. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
It's just another platform. It's where more business professionals are hanging out. We're learning, we're growing, we're nurturing, we're mentoring. We're building our own communities of, people that we can collaborate with, people we can learn from. We're serving our online community. It's just a community. And if someone doesn't connect with you, don't take it personally. They might not be on LinkedIn. They might not see your request. That happens a lot. If they don't like, I think I've had like 2 negative comments. I deleted them.
Hmm.
Sometimes there's spam, we'll say.
Sometimes it's quite
I've been fortunate that I
okay.
haven't had a lot of spam on my content until just over a week ago. And on my LinkedIn audio event, someone created a false profile that had my name. And then it
Really?
said, yeah. And then it said author, Mary Fain Brandt author. And they went in and on the event, they said, hey, the link we'll post the link once the event is live. And then they went and posted a link which took everyone to a landing page where you had to sign up. And so I went in and I was like, that's not true. That never happens on an audio event. Do not click on that link. I took a screenshot and I reported it to LinkedIn, and I have to go back and, yeah. So that happened.
I
That's
mean,
fun.
we all get you know spammed and all that. I've actually deleted certain comments because they're not appropriate to the conversation. And I think
Right.
that's part of cultivating. So um, I just think it's so important. And then, again, this is Brenda, who I was scared to death the first time I connected with her. I was
I know,
really,
because she's such a rock star. She's
I
a big,
know, I know. And
oh,
I was like,
shake
how do
it
I get
off.
in touch with this
Shake it
rock
off.
star? But haters going to hate, shake it off. And it's about feeling good about yourself. You have something just as important to say as everyone else.
Yeah.
Just because you may not have the notoriety, and I don't consider myself famous by any stretch of the
Oh,
imagination.
you're a big deal, Kenneth.
No,
Kenneth Lang,
I
you're a
really,
pretty big deal.
well, maybe here in town, but I don't think so. But I appreciate that. So, Mary, thank you very much today for chatting. It's been a
Yeah. I hope
blast.
it helped. Even if our information, our conversation today, if it helped one person move forward in their job search, think a different way, take a different action that moves them closer to finding the right career, then that fills my heart and makes me happy.
Thanks a lot, everyone, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy your first week of August. Can't believe the summer's half over. You guys are going back to school soon, I guess, right?
School starts tomorrow.
Whoa.
way
Whoa.
too early. And I don't have kids, so it doesn't affect me, but my friends do. And I'm like, why in Phoenix or in Arizona, right?
Right.
Do they start school the first week of August?
I don't know, but
But
stay safe and stay cool. I was going to say stay warm, but I was like, that's not what I want to say
no,
to
no,
someone
no.
from Phoenix. No, 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 no,
Hydrate,
no. All right.
hydrate,
Take
hydrate,
care.
hydrate.
Have a good day,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.